Hello, it's Mike from Dimensional Walking, and today I want to have a part two of my series I'm doing on the era of alien disclosure. Okay, and I did a part one, and that covered years 1 through 5 after alien disclosure happens, and of course, as you probably have heard, I believe that sort of happened to some degree on November 21st. 2025. So, and I explained why I felt that way in the previous parts. So, anyways, this is part two, and this is, I'll call this one the era of alien disclosure, years 6 through 10, reparations, ethics, and the restructuring of society. So, here we go. Hope you find it interesting. So, the first 5 years after alien disclosure were marked by shock, testimony, and the beginning of the reckoning. But as humanity moves into the second phase, years 6 through 10, the focus shifts from validation to transformation. The world begins to grapple with practical consequences of the disclosure, reparations for abductees, ethical frameworks into interspecies contact, and restructuring of political, economic, and cultural systems. So by year 6, the abductee movement has matured into a global force. Survivors now recognized as victims of crime against humanity will demand reparations. Governments will face lawsuits in international courts, being accused of neglect or complacency or both. The scale of the claims will be unprecedented. Millions of individuals will be seeking compensation for trauma, lost time, and disrupted lives. Some nations will establish special funds for the reparations, modeled after funds that were for victims of war crimes and systematic injustices. Others will resist, fearing financial collapse. The debate will polarize society. Should governments pay for criminal type things, I guess, type crimes that were committed by non-human entities, or only if there's silence and collaboration? As testimonies accumulate, philosophers, theologians, scientists will confront a new frontier: interspecies ethics, which what moral obligations do humans owe to extraterrestrials, and vice versa. If abductions were violations, how do we conceptualize justice among civilizations? Okay. Universities will establish exo-ethics departments, blending law, philosophy, art, anthropology. Conferences will debate whether extraterrestrials should be held accountable under human law or whether new frameworks must be created. I would say probably new frameworks will have to be created. The abductee movement will push for recognition of bodily autonomy as the universal principle of descending species. By year 7, political systems will begin to fracture and reform. Parties centered on transparency, disclosure, and cosmic justice will rise in prominence. Traditional left-right divides will blur as new movements demand accountability and interspecies diplomacy. International organizations like the United Nations will establish councils dedicated to extraterrestrial relations. These councils will oversee truth commissions, reparations, and ethical negotiations. Smaller nations, long marginalized by global politics, will gain influence by positioning themselves as leader in disclosure democracy. Well, we won't call it democracy, diplomacy is probably the correct term. Alien technology will begin to reshape the economies. Energy systems will shift towards advanced propulsion and zero-point energy, destabilizing fossil fuel industries and probably eliminate it in the long run. Corporations will compete to monopolize alien innovations, sparking fierce debates among ownership and access. Well, this has always been a problem, even now, which, personally, I believe that, obviously the aerospace companies, and I have worked, have done work for aerospace companies in the past, and I kind of know, gotta be careful, kind of know that this technology is already being used and fought over dearly. By year 8, grassroots movements will demand alien technology be treated as global commons, accessible to all humanity. The tensions between corporate greed and corporate collective justice will demand economic debates. Uh, Survivors will argue that technologies obtained through abduction should be used to heal, not profit. Disclosure will inspire a cultural renaissance. Art, literature, and film will explore the themes of betrayal, resistance, and cosmic connection. Abductees' testimonies will be uh, traumatized or will be traumatized and dramatized in theaters and cinema, transforming uh, this trauma into collective storytelling. Religions, of course, a very important part of this, will continue to adapt. Some will embrace extraterrestrials as fellow seekers of truth, while others will resist, framing them as adversaries. Spiritual movements will flourish, blending human and alien cosmetologies into new forms of mysticism. By year 9, societies will begin to focus on healing. Consulting programs for abductees will expand, blending psychology with spiritual exploration. Communities will create rituals of acknowledgement, honoring survivors as witnesses to humanity's cosmic journey. Integration will also extend to education. Schools will teach disclosure history, ensuring their future generations understand the mistakes of secrecy and the importance of accountability. Children will grow up in a world where extraterrestrials are not myths but realities, shaping their worldview from the start. By year 10, the reckoning will reach its peak. Governments will face trials, institutions will collapse under scrutiny, and survivors will begin to receive reparations. Yet the deeper challenge will remain: how to build a just relationship with the extraterrestrials. The second phase of disclosure is not about shock, it is about transformation. Humanity will confront its failures, restructure its systems, and begin to imagine a future where justice is not only human but cosmic. Hope hope you enjoy. There will be a part 3, and of course that will deal with the years, let's say either 11 through 16, or maybe I'll expand that out to 11 to 20. Depends what I'm going to put in all that. So anyways, happy trails until we meet again. Bye-bye.